Hey there, welcome to the Gyro Step, a Milwaukee Bucks podcast, proudly a part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network and GSPN. I am joined not by my wonderful co-host Rohan, but by a fellow Blue Wire podcaster, the one, the only, Bart Winkler, host of the Bart Winkler Show. If you're listening to this, you probably already know Bart, so the introduction may be not necessary. Local legend, Bart Winkler. How's it going, Bart?
Jesus. Thanks.
You come on the pod, I say nice things.
Yeah. Good to be here. Good to talk Bucks. I'm excited. It was Tuesday and somebody had asked me if I was watching the game. And I didn't remember that the Bucks were playing preseason. I don't know, NBA preseason. I'll get into it when the season starts, but that's one of the parts about this Damian Lillard trade that is so exciting. Not that, again, we root for a team that has been so bad and so irrelevant for so long. So to say something even remotely in this realm is preposterous, but regular season was going to kind of be like a drag, because we knew they would be good. We knew they would go to the playoffs. We knew they would get a good seed. Now we're about to see like basketball in its most desired form. And I can't wait for it, Ti.
I can't either. I mean, listen, I'm a sicko. I was excited to see Malik Beasley. I was excited to see the new offense, new defense, that kind of stuff. But I think certainly you're right from a more broad general Bucks sense. Like the excitement has ratcheted up to a level that we have not seen in years, even with them being this good. I would say maybe the season after the championship, just because. But even still, I think it's a different kind of excitement. Like, can they do it again with this group? Can they run it back? That's exciting in a way for sure. But I don't know. Have we ever had an offseason this exciting? Because and people will say, they brought in Bud, all this stuff. Yeah, but like we didn't know they were going to be that good right away. They were good. We thought they could win 50 and they won 60. Maybe the next year after that, but like they won the championship or went off in the playoffs so ugly. Versus this last year they went out ugly. The coaching changed, people a little nervous. What are they going to do? Giannis's whole thing. And then it's like, oh, they got Dame. I would say maybe the year before when they got Drew, that was up there. And then the year after winning a championship just with that buzz. But there's still it's a different atmosphere than I even expected, I think, post-Dame trade. What do you think about that?
Well, I think because not just Bucks, but if you want to look at the state itself, there are sickos that only root for one team or not, whatever. But if you are a true, like Wisconsin everything, how many times do we hear we were going to get Randy Moss, or we were going to get even Tony Gonzalez, or we were going to get Marshawn Lynch, or we were going to get Pete Alonso, or we almost had, this guy. And, with the Bucks, it's always like, I remember the morning on the radio where Anthony Davis said we were one of 4 teams he might play for. I'm like, there's nothing to this. There's nothing to this. It means nothing. It is nothing. But we even though we have one of the guys in Giannis, we always dream about another one. And we got one. We got all the in the mix, almost had. We're in conversations. Like they got a guy. And I think where if you were playing out what the Bucks' future could be, and there's still many mysteries to it, of course, but if you got to a point where, all right, it's time to move on from Giannis. He wants a new challenge. Let's at least try to get something in return. You would be elated to get Dame here. You're getting Dame and Giannis at the same time. This is the thing that really bothers me about the way this trade has been presented. And a lot of that was the Drew Holiday fallout, where Drew Holiday for years, like we were the ones screaming, hey, this guy's pretty great. And then nobody would listen. The emails I get from I think it was Bet Online, maybe but we're all hyped about Dame. A couple days later, Drew goes to the Celtics, and the title of the email was Boston now the favorite after they won up Bucks. How do you one up a team when you're trading for the guy that they traded away to get the guy that should have made them the favorites in the first place? And I read this NBA GM survey, and it's all like Celtics, and I do stand by, if the Celtics were coming into this season with Giannis and Dame and Middleton and Brook, and the Bucks had Tatum and Brown and Drew, no one would take that team to win. We would all be Boston. For some reason, it does exist. Whether or not I need to obsess about it's another thing, but it does exist. And it's kind of like where it's just so disappointing. The excitement is there at a level where has it been like this? Locally. And everybody nationally, and I'm not talking like 2 or 3 guys on ESPN or 1 or 2 guys on The Ringer. I'm talking like every single person, except for a couple former NBA guys, I think, on podcasts said some nice things. Maybe KG or someone else.
KG was one, yeah.
Although he thought Thon could be an MVP, so
he has a soft spot for the Bucks for some reason, man.
But everyone was just like, no, rush on this. It's not going to happen. LeBron teams up with Bosh and Wade, right? The whole world understands that's going to be something. KD goes to the Warriors. The whole world understands that's going to be something. And now we take Damian Lillard, who has been struggling as a one-man show for 10 years, and Giannis, who has not been a one-man show, but can be defended in that way and has been defended in that way. Now you're bringing them together. Like, the thing that Dame needs most and the thing that Giannis needs most are each other. And I was just reading Eric Name's piece in The Athletic about
great article.
The practice stuff. And it's like, I don't think our brains have understood yet what we're about to see. And that's why we're excited.
Yeah. Because
we know that we're going to see something cool. I think the rest of the NBA is either trying to pretend like it won't happen or just doesn't have a concept of what they're about to see. But I don't know if Damian Lillard and Giannis know, like, there's going to be plays that they are used to running, as Damian kind of said, where they're going to see something that they never expected. Damian Lillard's going to run a play for the 1,000th time after 11 years, and all of a sudden he's going to have a different option or a different look than he's ever had because Giannis just exists, and vice versa for Giannis. Like, the one thing that each of these guys needed was each other. And like if there's injuries, obviously, and whatever, but basketball wise, there's no way this won't be a success. It will be good. Will there be a night that they have to figure each other out? God, I don't even know. I don't think so. I think this is going to be this dominant.
I want to touch on a lot of this, and I think, as you know, the title here says, that's the main thrust of this podcast. I heard your people are saying a rant. I thought it was too well thought out to be a rant, but just like the response to this around the league, I agree.
It was an impassioned statement.
Yeah, that's good branding. One of the craziest parts to me is a lot of this, and I think it was Kevin Pelton did their like math or whatever, and they pegged the Bucks at 48.5 wins or something for the season, which I did some research is absurd. They have not won at a less than 51 game clip in the last 5 years, and the 51 game clip was Brook missing 69 games and Khris, Giannis, Drew combining to miss like another 45, I think. Like, they win a ton of games. They're not going to win 47 games with Giannis and Dame. I think it's absurd to think.
How can anyone that covers the league, how can they put their name? I just don't.
They won
I don't fathom. How can you put your name next to Bucks 48.5? How can you do that?
They've put 58 when they were above their skis a little last year. The point differential is the point differential. They were not 10 games above, I don't think. And Khris played like 30 games. And Giannis and Drew again. Giannis and Drew have not been very healthy the last several years. They just win. They're good. And I've seen as justification for this, like, oh, but the depth is worse. I was like, is it to a point that matters? Malik Beasley for Grayson, campaign for Javon Carter.
Is worse.
I think you look at, I mean, they lost, Wes Matthews and Joe Ingles, like that, fine. Like, those guys played like half the year anyway, and they replaced them with other wing players. Like, Marjon maybe plays more. Andre Jackson maybe plays more. I think they go 10 deep before you even get to those young guys, though. Like, I don't think the depth is an issue here at all. This isn't the Suns where it's their 3 guys and then now Yusuf Nurkic. I still don't understand what they're doing ever. And a bunch of vet minimums. Like, I think the Bucks have a better team. I think Crowder's here for the whole year now. I think he's going to be a useful player. I don't think you look at the 1-for-1 swaps and go, oh, they're a lot softer at the bottom of the rotation now. And the other thing, even if they were, probably doesn't matter if Khris can play most of the games and Dame and Giannis play most of the games. Like, even the teams that were really thin, when you have pairings like that or trios like that, it doesn't matter. You just win. Like, this is not the NFL or the MLB where it's like, oh, you have Shohei and Mike Trout, but how's your 4th starter? This is the NBA. Wade, Bosch, and LeBron.
How can you take a team, even if these writers think, like, oh, because they pump up the Celtics, and they're talking about the margins of where the Celtics will get the Bucks in a 6-7 game Eastern Conference Finals. They're talking about like really slim things. And then they say under 50 wins. It's insulting. It's got to be for no other reason than to, and that's the thing though. Why would you do that? Would you do it because like, hey, I always thought that we're a very easy target, the state of Wisconsin, in terms of when the national media says something where it's not true. We will defend it very strongly. Skip's had his fun with us. Cowherd does it a little more tactfully, but
Stephen A, like the city itself, will go to that. Yeah, every couple years.
They know they can draw a reaction from us. They won't pick on certain cities because you're not going to get the reaction. You'll get a reaction from Wisconsin. I don't think that's the case here. I think they really do. They really are infected. Yeah. There is really an infection about what Boston is. And I'm on the same tirade in the NFL right now where everybody is just like, for the 9th straight year, saying the Niners are going to win it all. Well, that's great. They haven't won since like gas was 17 cents, like why does the NBA fantasize over this team where when you look at Milwaukee, and the Suns is a good example, because when they traded for everybody, it's like, all right, you've got these 3 guys making a lot of money. Maybe Ayton's in there. They traded him. And then it is vet min season. Warriors did min season. And the Bucks aren't that, though. The Bucks aren't that. And I'm like more comfortable with, like, we have some younger guys. I'm not Joe Ingles and Wes Matthews leaving, and their 37-year-old bodies are not going to be the reasons the Bucks don't win a championship. We've had a different version of Joe Ingles for the last 15 years. We will be fine. We can move on. So I think a lot of this is going to be where people are going to then see what happens, see how good it is. There's going to be plays that wow them. And they're going to say, like, where was it? Like, no one thought it would be this good. Well, you should have if you weren't so, like, infected. And so it really does bother me that it's not even an anti-Milwaukee thing. It's a pro-Boston thing. The fact that Drew Holiday went from 3rd player or 4th, role player guy to best defender in the game, it's really unsettling, as you can tell.
I think now if you post what Drew shot in the playoffs, it's slander to Drew, and it shows you Bucks fans don't respect their legend. Everything else. Listen, I think the numbers should be retired. I think he was, crucial in a championship run, the first time in 50 years. Love Drew Holiday.
They don't win without him.
No, but they're telling lies about Drew Holiday now. I mean, they're just like, I still think, and I've said this before, and I'm not going to do a scouting report of Boston right now. We'll get to that hopefully before a great playoff series. And I think they're going to be a great team, to be clear. Like, I think it's going to be hard to beat them. I think Milwaukee should be the favorites. I think they have the best 2 players in any series before they get to the finals at least. But I think it's going to be I'm not saying Boston sucks. I do think, like, you look at how the Jays shot last year and how Horford trailed off through last year and how Drew has shot in the playoffs every year. I don't think it's going to be super seamless for them. I think there's going to be some questions they have to answer. I think their depth is kind of weird. I think it's like quietly a little weird that they extended Peyton Pritchard before Drew, who's clearly wants an extension. I don't know if that's just like a cost thing or what. They're going to get very expensive in a year or two. I know that. But even just for this season, like I think they're going to have some things to figure out. What kills me is, the Bucks are going to have this adjustment period and the other teams aren't. Like the Celtics, I think, have more adjusting to do than the Bucks. The Bucks are changing a lot, but Adrian Griffin literally said, it's not rocket science. Like Dame and Giannis are going to run pick and roll. It's a guard, a pull-up guard, and a roll man. Like this is easy. And I've seen people say, and this was not a common take, but like, is Khris not necessary anymore? He's the wing. Like it's all so easy. I think if the Bucks think we can't figure it out. We have superstar point guard who can pull up from anywhere. One of the best one of the top 2 jump shooters of all time from the point guard position, at least. The most dominant, forceful big who's never had a good enough rolling partner. Shout out to Khris. Has done some great things in the Giannis pick and roll. Does not have the handle or the ability to punish isolations that Damian Lillard does. And then you have a wing who can play off of them, an elite catch and shoot shooter who could really use the benefit of being that clear third guy offensively, I think, to make life easier for him. I think he's been a little overtaxed at times. That's why a lot of their playoff games turn into like grind out just barely enough points to win because we can defend, but we can't always score. That's such an easy fit. And then your fourth best guy is a spacing big who can also roll and dominate around the paint or can space out to 3 and had one of his best shooting seasons, if not his best, last season. This is all easy. This is not like, it's a lot of talent, but how are they going to figure it out? And I'd like to add, like those other examples, what team has really been like, we have too much talent and they can't figure it out? Like the KD Nets ended up imploding, right? It wasn't because they didn't figure it out on the court. They couldn't stay healthy, and then Kyrie was not able to play, and then James Harden requested a trade. When they played together, they blitzed teams. And that wasn't, I think, a great fit. I think it was a lot of overlapping skill sets, whatever. It didn't matter. Look at the Warriors with KD. They had to like throw away the whole beautiful game they played. But guess what? You drop KD in the middle of the floor, it makes you better. It doesn't make you worse. Like, you figure it out if the talent's good enough. But I don't think there's any reason that the Bucks are going to be like, what do we do? We just don't know what to run. They won't shut up about what they're going to run. It's very obvious, and it's clearly working because Dame and Giannis keep saying like, wow, this is the best looks we've ever had. This is crazy how easy this is. And these prognosticators are like, it's going to be a big adjustment. I don't know what they're going to do. They're going to score.
Well, and I don't understand, like, why is that? It's not like this is they only have one ball situation. It's 5. So then it's like, well, who's the 5th starter? Who cares? Just put a guy there. Like, he'll have a role, obviously, but they fit each other. It's just like
it's so obvious.
It's all interconnected. It's like a constellation. It is what it is. It's beautiful basketball. And you have if you want to say, Celtics, Bucks, or whoever, you got a first-year head coach doing all this. Not that I don't think, but there's something you can say. Like, if you're trying to do this, there's something that you can say in terms of a much easier way. But instead, everyone's going, well, Dame and Giannis won't work. What? For years. It took them
a long time to figure that out.
For a decade, you knew, if only Giannis had a Dame. Or if only Dame had a Giannis.
That's literally that guy is the guy we said. It's literally the guy we like, not to be weird, but the fantasy situation was like, Dame and Giannis. Steph and Dame were the 2 guys where you go, that's perfect. Can we get Trae Young? Can we get, is Jalen Green going to be available? Can we get someone who can maybe be like that? Dame is literally the guy. You couldn't ask for a better fit with Giannis.
Right, and they just haven't, as good as Drew was, they haven't had this guy running the point ever with Giannis, and now they have him, and it's like, I don't know, it's very frustrating to me, because it's my team, obviously, and I have a thing against the Celtics where everyone seems to be pro them, but it's just the lack of there's so many smart people that cover the NBA, and it's like they have this giant blind spot to this. and they're all going to play dumb when it looks. I mean, I cannot wait.
I think this is an in and out of the state thing. I think it affects people here and certainly the national. I think there's just like a built-in. It's like, Frank Madden, you saw his tweet, never trust the Bucks. And of course, after 21, I think he recanted it officially. But I think that is pervasive to a lot of people. And they just they ratchet down whatever the ceiling is by 5, 15, 20% automatically. Just, it's the Bucks. I mean, it's, that makes sense, but it's not, is it going to be that good? Which I think is ridiculous. You look at the success they've had, and yes,
Damian Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo on the same team.
I think I said this, and I want your reaction on this. This is something that for almost the whole rest of the history of the league, this is something the Lakers would have done. This is the kind of move to get Dame with Giannis for what the Bucks had to give up, which, I mean, I guess Drew Holiday is, maybe the 5th best player in the NBA or something now. But that's the kind of thing the Lakers would do.
They gave up nothing. To be clear, they gave up, with due respect.
How about this? They gave up nothing to upgrade Drew to Dame. They gave up nothing on top of Drew to upgrade him. I think that's the diplomatic way to say it. 1 pick, 2 swaps, Grayson Allen.
And this is unfortunate for the Bucks that it was the first time in human history that there was a human side to a trade. We've never understood that these are real humans until this trade.
Listen, do I still feel bad? Yeah, that sucks. I have to move.
It's weird.
It's
weird that you can live in a place, get a phone call, and say you're moving to a new place.
Tomorrow.
But hold on, because you might actually be moving to a different place. And we're not talking neighborhoods in Milwaukee. We're talking parts of the country. It is weird. You also play a game for $35 million.
Yeah. I mean,
it's
a good deal.
There's give and take.
It's a good deal if you can get it. It was kind of too, so they got some flack for not telling him beforehand, but the whole point of how they did the whole deal was so the name doesn't get out there if it doesn't happen. And so it's,
John Horst.
He owned that. We should talk about, I haven't even talked enough about, I talked about it with Rohan. I don't think this is getting enough. John Horst's reputation has been too low for a long time now, I think. I think you look at what he's been able to do, and they always say the Bucks have no assets, and they always find a new star or a new perfect role player to pair. And again, they've won one. They've had some bad flameouts. I think they beat the Celtics if Khris plays at all in that series, and he didn't. Last year just sucked. I think something was wrong with the chemistry. I think Bud, I think the tenure had just run its course, to be honest.
Yeah.
And that's why I think we heard enough from players on the team directly and indirectly to know there was just something off. And then Giannis misses some games. I think there was something off even when he did play. But you look at what the teams they put together every year, the sustained winning. I mean, I think evidence enough is the fact that Giannis is still here. I do think he's loyal because they're good enough, which I think is fair. This isn't a dig at Giannis, but they've always been good enough. And I think that's why
he's always said, try to win and I'll be there.
Yeah.
Which these comments this year,
it was the same.
I mean, one bit on the radio was and it was national radio, so I had more fun with it. But I read comments from Giannis from previous years, and then I would be like, oh my God, so this is really, and then I'd get people worked up and I'd say, oh wait. that was 5 years ago. He eventually resigned, and I did that a little bit because they are committed. And I've always said that John Horst's main job isn't to win championships. It's to keep Giannis here and get his hand for pen to paper for the next contract. Yeah. But in that article, John Horst, how if I was the Suns in this, you're telling me that this trade went down because we were willing to find out 15 minutes before that we were getting Grayson Allen,
so
and
funny.
We're okay with that? How Horst got these guys to be quiet, and that's why I'm glad in the press conference Horst was like, "Look, shout out to Cronin." Yeah. I have to give this guy credit because I control. Somehow he controlled
it's insane.
The whole Damian Lillard thing. How?
It's insane. With one pick, Horst comes in. He's just like, hey, we can do this, but we're going to do it our way. And if anything is not how we like it, we're done. And Cronin and the Suns owner, who I think is just doing these deals now kind of bold-facedly, we're just like, okay, yeah. Sure, whatever. Hey, you got the one pick, so whatever you're saying, we're on board with. I think it's a huge failure on Miami's part because I think whatever they want to say about Cronin, and clearly there was bad blood there. I don't think I've been saying for weeks now, and I am going to take him one last victory lap. There was a way for the Bucks to get in. That part looks good now that I said it. But the pathway in is Miami F's around and finds out. They go, nobody else wants him. He doesn't want to go anywhere else. We'll give you one pick. We'll give you Lowry and Duncan. That's all you're going to get. And I said, listen, the Bucks were in on Beal. I think, and thank God he ended up picking Phoenix because there's no Dame if there's Beal. So that one worked out. But the Bucks, Horst is going to go in here and go, hey, this is all we've got. Like, we'll do it. Like, we want Dame. Like, let's get it done. And that is what happened, clearly. And no other team was aggressive enough. And the Bucks were like, and this is how they did Drew, too. If you remember when they got Drew, nobody knew. It was like, oh, is he going to be a net? Like, who else is going to get him? And the Bucks are just like, here's our best offer. You want to do the trade or not? And they get trades done doing that. And I think the other front offices appreciate the Bucks aren't going to be like, we'll give you top 15 protected pick, but we're not going to give you. No, here's all. We don't care. Here's all this stuff. We don't care about. Like, these are 11-year-olds. We don't care.
They told Portland, here's our offer. It's not our best, but it's the best you're getting.
Yeah.
Why would you want to trade with them?
Yeah. Meanwhile, the Bucks are like, here's everything we can give, but here's what kills me. And it worked out for Portland. It did, and I think that's the consensus now. It was very risky for Portland to take Drew without being able to shop him first. And I think you expect you'd get a good haul. I think they got a pretty good return from the Celtics for Drew. I guess that's kind of going to be implied, but I think there was a little more risk there than people say. And of course for Phoenix, I mean, listen, I'm not on board for Ayton for Jusuf Nurkic anyway. But the fact that it was either going to be Grayson, they thought, or Victor Oladipo, who I'm not sure if he's even going to play this year because he just had another serious knee injury in the playoffs. And they were going to be on board either way. How badly did the Suns hate DeAndre Ayton, dude? Where they're just like, yeah, this guy who's not going to play, or Grayson Allen, sure, we'll take one of those guys in Nurkic. And they had to throw in a prospect who apparently looks good for Portland. That kills me too. The Bucks drafted 2 intriguing second-round players. They got Marjon on the roster. They have Portland's second-round pick this coming draft. Portland's not going to be good. The Bucks held that pick and their young guys, and Phoenix gave up a young player. It's insane how this trade worked for them. And I'm saying, if the Lakers had traded Drew Holiday and 1 first, 2 swaps, and nothing else, and I say Grayson and Grayson, for Dame, people would say to shut down the league. Would they not?
Yeah.
Would people not say, like, this is unfair? Why are we even doing this? This is ridiculous.
Yeah, and instead the guy the Bucks traded for is now on the favorites. Huge eye roll for the audio consumers. You saw only the whites of my eyes.
Yeah.
It was a big one.
That was an impressive roll.
I don't think I could do it again.
Yeah, no, you might strain something. You can't miss any time right now podcasting.
I know. Yeah, so I'm worked up. I'm excited though. Like, that all being said, I think we need to get to these opening games. And the other thing that sucks is, like, Bucks Celtics, the first time they play, there's going to be too much put on it. So
yeah, just
like I thought Packers Bears, there was going to be too much put on it, and there was. They have to. It's like, please just win. Yeah. I don't want to. Just please win.
So I'm excited about that this year because I feel like they came out flat for almost every big game last season. And I do think there's going to be a different energy this year between, like, I think the coaching change itself shook things up a lot. I think the players were kind of like, whoa, well, we actually did this. Okay, I think that's going to give you a jolt anyway. And it seems like the way they're going to play now might carry some more energy with it. I mean, I know you haven't been grinding preseason. Like, the physical defense, there's a lot more switching. Like, there's a lot more activity. I think the team, it seems like even guys like Brook, who I know there was a big talking point of, like, is Brook Lopez going to be ostracized? Are they even going to bring him back? Like, are they going to be able to? Brook, from the quote, sounds like he's energized to play this way. Like, he's about it. So, and Khris, same deal. So if Khris and Brook are on board with the changes, I feel like everyone's going to follow suit just because those guys were so, stamped in old Bucks culture. But it seems like everyone really is just like, yeah, let's do it. Like, we're down to play like this. But
and Damian Lillard is going to a new, like, yes, it's small market to small market. So, like, the lifestyle may be kind of similar here as it was in Portland. But Milwaukee, as much as people do like to throw water on them, has an elevated stature in the league over Portland.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to be playing on Christmas. He's going to be playing on, Thursday nights. He's going to be playing in prime time. He's going to be on ABC games. He's going to be in bigger matchups and new fresh matchups not that they've not played teams in the East before, but it's going to be a whole like he's going to want to raise his level even because the stage is a little brighter. So it's just going to be like, again, you took a regular season that was going to be competitive and there'll be moments and whatever. And it was going to be more about like, let's see a little more Marjan. Let's see a little more Andre Jackson.
Some scheme wrinkles, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Now it's going to be a party every night. And that I cannot wait for. And that's good for guys like us who need that.
Yeah. I went to, here's a question. When's the last time a Sunday at noon in October there was anything to care about besides the Packers? I went to the Bucks Bulls game Sunday at noon just because me and a couple buddies, it was like Rohan and our friend Colin. And it's like, is there a chance that this is the first Dame Giannis game? You got to be there if it is, right? I went for it. It wasn't, it was a Lindell Wigginton start. Still very much enjoyed, I'm a sicko. I don't care. But I think I feel like I'm going to go to more games than I've probably ever gone to this year because it's like you just don't get stuff like this very often anywhere, but certainly not in Milwaukee. And that's been true of the whole Giannis tenure, not to sell short the last 5+ years here. But Giannis and Dame, I mean, do you know the last time a Buck besides Giannis got a single MVP vote? I went through some of this. Dame has gotten them like 5 or 6 different times. He's finished as high as 4th.
I don't think Ray ever got one, did he?
No, he did. More people get than you think. Michael Redd got literally 1 in 2004. That was the last time before Giannis any Buck ever got one. And I think the last time anyone made All-NBA before Giannis.
Is that from Charles Gardner? Did he give him the vote?
It might have been from Charles Gardner. Yeah. I was like, really? Michael Redd? Who put Michael Redd 5th, man? He got 1 point.
That's got to be old Chucky G.
I think so. Or I don't know who else would be doing it. Somebody probably saw him drop like 50 twice that year. And just those are the only Michael Redd games they saw. And they were like, that guy can play. 5th in MVP voting. Lifted the Bucks to probably like a 9th.
That's how I made honorable mention in soccer my senior year. I was very bad as a goalie, but I had a really good game against the best team in the league. So the guy did
nice
honorable mention. Yeah,
it works out that way.
It does. No, it's been a long time. We would always be like, hey, LeBron's coming. We got to go to the game.
Oh yeah.
Or the Warriors are here. You got to go to the game. Now you get 41 nights of, we'll see what it is, but 41 nights of Giannis and Dame. I mean, what? Right, just like miles from where you live. It's bonkers.
I think we've never seen a pairing like this on the court before in the NBA. Not talent-wise. I'm not going up that way. But in terms of, since the game has changed with all the spacing, right? We've not had a pick and roll where it's one of the most dominant perimeter player, pull-up shooting guys from like literally 30 feet away, and someone with the rim gravity and domination in the paint as Giannis. I think you could argue the Nuggets are kind of close just because Joker does so much, but as good as he is, like he doesn't roll and get to the rim the same way Giannis does. He does his shuffle, he can score there, but it's different.
The Nuggets, why I respect the Nuggets is because they've gone through like a couple of years of trying to find what we have our guy.
Yeah.
What's the best possible thing that we can do around our guy? And I feel like his Dame is just the rest of the team.
Yeah, it's pretty perfect.
It works. It's very perfect. And I think the Bucks were trying that.
Yeah.
They won a title. You could always have used but that's why it was always like, get Teletovic, get Mirotic, get Ingles, get these guys because Giannis is going to suck and then kick it out. And then he kicks it out and then, but then they miss. And then we have a point guard who's great defensively, but for whatever reason, every point guard we have loves chucking up shots early in the shot clock. And that's just part of it. That's who he is. So we got to accept it. We keep talking about Giannis and Dame Ti, but they still have a whole nother 6-7 guys, and that's like Middleton and Lopez.
That's a crazy top 4.
Won you a series in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah,
Middleton has won you series. These guys have been the A option when they've needed to be. Now they will never need to be, and they can just all of a sudden you're like, Giannis and Dame. Where did these 34 points from mid come from?
Yeah,
that's what it's going to be. It's going to be so great. I can't wait.
Well, and it's like Khris, I feel like, and the Eric Name story in The Athletic today that you mentioned earlier. We just don't hear that much from Khris in general. I think he's got a social media guy now. The clips have been pretty fun, but Khris talking about it was Dame talking about Khris, but Dame goes to Khris and he's like let me know what I can do to accommodate you. Dame, I just want to say a little off topic. The way Dame has tried to be so like non-intrusive and accommodating while coming in as one of the best, we'll say 6 to not get in a weird place, Bucks players in Bucks history ever, and certainly Giannis's best teammate ever, certainly the best non-Giannis Buck in decades at least. The way he's coming in as that guy, and he knows he's not dumb, but he's like, don't want to walk on anyone's toes, want to make sure everyone's cool, and the fact that also all the Bucks are like, no, we want you be that guy. You be that guy. We don't want you to not be that guy. We did not get you in here to shoot 10 times a game, Dame. Go do the thing. But like the energy both of them have toward each other, I find it like so endearing and nice in a world where so many of our sports stories about, it's like chemistry doesn't work. Literally anything Aaron Rodgers has done in the last 5 years or whatever. Like there's so much blech out there. And the fact that the Bucks are just like, everyone says, all they talk about is winning a title. It's like a family in there. And they're all so cool. I've found it all so cool. Every new Dame quote about like, they just keep telling me to be Dame. The big guy is the best player here. I'm just here. I love all of it. Like maybe I'm a sucker. Maybe I'm a mark. I don't know. I'm scooping it all up. I can't get enough. I just think it's so cool.
I can't wait. And I think that, again, there's going to be just a level of people watching the Bucks and acting like they've discovered vibranium when I just love Marvel so much. When it's clearly it's like, just put your head together. Just Damian Lillard and Giannis. I mean, it should be like the first time someone put peanut butter and jelly together.
It really
Even
should.
though I don't really like jelly, but
I'm a PB guy.
It's like, oh my God, this works.
Yeah. I can't. We've got to see it. I hope we see it in the preseason. I'm not moved by it. So Dame said in that piece, he's getting his conditioning together a bit. So I think that's why. I think, Giannis is never going to play all 5 preseason games, right? So I think they're like, when Dame's ready to play, we'll play him for a game, 2 games. Probably not all 3 of the remaining games. There's no back-to-backs, which is nice. Some teams have preseason back-to-backs, which is like insane. But it is also Sunday night ESPN game against the Lakers in LA. That would be a logical spot. That would be a logical spot. Not reporting anything. I have no idea. I do think they'll play together at least once in the preseason. I think that would be an opportune moment, but who knows? Maybe the Bucks are going to be like, we'll do it Tuesday in Oklahoma City. Or wherever,
might have to do a post game for that one.
Yeah, I'm thinking whenever they play, I'll tell you this, whenever they play first together, I'm
working that night. I'm working that night doing CBS, and it's going to be like all football. Oh God.
Squeeze me in 5 minutes after we do our pod that night. If they play, squeeze me in 5 minutes. I got you.
Yes, good. Because working that night, I found that I have a really hard time working when a game is on.
Yeah.
Whatever game it is. because you got to kind of talk about it, kind of not talk about it.
Yeah.
But man, because there's going to be some of these nights that I agree to work, and it's not like, I'm just at a place and I can like follow it and still do my work. I'm talking about sports while I'm working.
Yeah, it must be really. You can't really follow. Do you have the opening night Sixers?
That is a night I think I will pass on. I think I'm going to have to. I was
going to say, you got to the first freaky time regular season game. If you can't get in the building, it's got to be appointment viewing. I mean, that's going to be, and it sounds like everyone's going to be healthy. I didn't get very concerned about the Khris stuff. But now that I heard he's played 5-on-5, I'm just like, he's going to be fine. They ramped him up slow. He said he feels great. And the thing about Khris, getting back to him, people I feel like overlook. I've seen this exact line so many times that I wonder if some of these prognosticators copy paste. It's like, last time we saw him, he's 13 points per game. What Middleton are we going to get? I was like, last time we saw him was a playoff series where everything sucked for the Bucks. and he still averaged 20.6 rebounds, 6 assists, shot 40% from three and 50+% from the field. The last time we saw him in games that mattered, Khris was awesome, and his defense had slipped. I think you hope that can come together a little more now that he's doing a lot less offensively, carrying less load. Things are easier offensively. And, the knee sounds like it feels better. Hopefully that's true, and we, knock on all the wood here, we get a much better season. But I don't know where you're at on this. I don't doubt Khris. I don't think there's any lack of fight in Khris. I think it's been a very unfortunate situation for him these last couple of years. I think he's going to be back and awesome, though. I think he has the kind of game that's going to age well, even if he is losing a little bit of that athleticism.
Khris is like, I love analogies. Let me think of one. Khris is like, you get in the car with someone and you're convinced they're a bad driver for no reason. You're convinced.
Yeah.
And then they drive pretty good, and you're not even noticing that you're in the car, you're having a conversation, good tunes. And then they go on the side of the road, and it's like just one time, and you're like, terrible driver. I knew it. I was right all along. You're bad. It's like Khris Middleton has been an all-time Buck. He is.
Oh, yeah.
And he'll always forever be underrated. You can't overrate Khris. You can't even properly rate his contributions to the team. He will never get the respect that he deserves. Luckily, I think he's the kind of guy that that doesn't matter. He's just going to go out there and be the guy that he is. So which even adds to why we should just be, if that's a national thing, that's fine. I never understood why Bucks fans were always trying to move on from Khris Middleton all the time. I think the real thing that happened with him, at least from where I was doing radio, is he always got the contract before everybody else did, just because of the timing of the contract. Yeah. So he was making $10 million when $10 million in the NBA was like, you got to be an all-pro. Then he got the $40 million, because they're giving you contracts based on what the next CBA is going to be, and it works, it fits, and then people are always just so that he gets judged on this impossible curve where, and he's another guy too, if the Celtics had Middleton or something, if the Lakers traded for Middleton, the narrative on him would just be so different. Giannis is the only guy that actually gets credit, and people are trying to run him out of here.
Giannis and whoever leaves. When Bud signs with a team, they're all going to be like, they're the title favorite. They're the title favorite. Nobody has any questions about Bud in the playoffs.
Yeah, this guy won a title. I mean, are you kidding me?
In Milwaukee. He overcame that.
With nobody.
I think, I do wonder if I don't think it will, because I've already seen, after the first injury thing came out a week ago, I was already getting trade quit. I just ignore. I used to respond. I just ignore. I will never be on board with trading Khris for basketball and non-basketball reasons. But the new contract he signed is a bargain. And I remember reading some perspective, and it's Khris kind of had him over a barrel in free agency. I mean, he could have certainly tried to get, I think, more money or more years. And, we hoped he would be, you always want a player to make a lot, but we know there's real tax constraints and everything else. And the fact that, I obviously don't have any ill will toward Brook pushing it a bit and getting a contract he earned based on what guys like Vucevic and Pirtle got, who are not as good as Brook Lopez. But Khris signing day one for, I think, is a very reasonable, 3 years, $90-some million contract, I do think shows that he doesn't want to play anywhere else. And I certainly hope he retires as a Buck. You always hope everyone on a team this good does. It just hit me now. Damian Lillard might retire a Buck. He might go back and do a day in Portland. Wouldn't be mad at it, but he might retire a Buck. That would be pretty awesome.
Yeah, someone was in my calling Dame a rental. I mean,
it's that's the years.
Other thing. Yeah, that's the other thing. This isn't just a year of Dame. This is we've got Giannis and Dame for a little bit here. This is. Yeah, pressure's on. I mean, you got to go win this year, I think. I mean, you got to go win, but I don't want to start saying we need multiple championships, but the potential is there.
Yeah, the potential is there. I mean, I don't think they're going to win 3 in a row. This is a question. would you, or real quick, actually, I feel like before the Dame trade, it was always like, not a lot of teams are interested because you're going to have to pay him a lot of money in 3 years and it's going to be bad on the cap. And I feel like I just am like, that's the nerd perspective. Like, if we get Dame for like 4 years, that's awesome. I don't care what it costs. I don't pay the bill. I think the owners are doing okay. They seem fine with all of this. They're signing up to spend the money. Credit to them for doing that at least. But like, hell yeah, I want Dame under contract for 4 years. I don't care what it costs, 3-4 years, whatever it is. Like, that's awesome. He's Dame. Maybe we all just need to see it, and then it'll set in for more people. I think I do agree with you. I think people around here already get it and are super excited. Maybe around the NBA that we need to see it for a couple games. I think it should be more apparent now. Would you be happy with one for the duration of Giannis Dame?
I think so. Yeah, I don't
think you cannot be, right.
I think they need one.
Yeah,
like you gotta Giannis. I think I don't know. I mean, the thing I've always been with Giannis is, if he ended up being like, all right, Bucks, you win, but I have a little more in me that you can't reach. No harm, no foul, and he left somewhere. And if he ever leaves somewhere, like I've always thought that I would be reacting fine to that. He has been tremendous here. He has, and we could look back and say, oh, we only got one title with Giannis, but this isn't the Packers. This isn't a team that's been historically great. Like the Bucks have been irrelevant. The Bucks have been nothing. The Bucks had, God, I remember like, what was I, 14, 15, the Bucks played in those little series with the Pacers in the late 90s. And I'm like at 3:00 on TNT. And I'm like, I can't believe the Bucks are in the playoffs. And then we trick ourselves into thinking that trading for John Salmons is going to be the.
He had a good year.
So I don't know. I think like right now I'm hopeful for one, but I will say, if I could pick which year the one came, it'd be this year.
Yeah, for sure.
Like I think that if you said, all right, they're going to win a title in the next 4 years, when would you like it to be? I would think, well, my son will be a little older and he can enjoy it. Then in 13 seconds, I'd say, no, we need it now. We need it now. Yeah. We got to shut everybody up. Yeah. And then anything else is gravy.
Well, with the extension,
it to me now.
The extension this summer for Giannis too, I think that pretty much that. I think we're already there. I mean, I saw you. It's funny, actually. This quick story. I was listening to the media day stuff, and I don't know if I just literally didn't hear it or if I like couldn't bring myself to believe it. But when he goes, that's why I'll sign it next year. And then I didn't even comprehend that. I saw your tweet and I was like, wait, did he actually say? And I clicked on your video that you posted. And I was like, wait, he literally said this. Obviously, it was in jest. And I've made the point, like, pen to paper is what matters. You can say whatever you want. We've seen guys say things and then leave. I still think the fact that he said that, it just totally kills all this narrative that we had of like.
And because he made the joke and said the F word.
Yeah.
And yeah, that part of it. And the only reason that I taped that video off of my computer screen, I did not go to Media Day, but was because I saw it and I was waiting for someone to post it, to quote tweet it.
And nobody did.
And no one was posting the video.
Everyone was afraid of it being like, thinking that they meant, like, oh, you're taking it too seriously to post this. But I was like, no, that should be shared. I mean, that's incredible that he said that.
Yeah, he said, I'll sign it next year.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he didn't but that's probably what he's thinking. Like, it makes no sense for him to sign it this year.
Yeah, it's a financial.
I had somebody see that was a buddy and like text me and was like, this is crap. I'm like, what? They go, why won't he sign it? Just sign it. If you're going to sign next year, sign now. And then I explained like, oh, you can actually get more money. That's why he made the joke. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, then that makes sense. So don't sign it.
Everyone knew that going in, but we still got a whole new round of like, he's not signing it. Is he out of there? And I agree with you. I mean, if he asked out eventually now, it would suck. I mean, I'd be devastated in my own way. But it's been, what is this, going into year 11 now, I think, with Giannis? Like, it's been a long time, dude.
He's made it here a lot farther than anybody thought he would.
Yeah. So it's all, I don't want to say it's all gravy, but the year one win is great, though, because then from there, the team shouldn't think this way. I don't think they would. But from the fan perspective, it's kind of like what happened with Drew of like all those questions about like, oh, is that too much to give up? Or, they really mortgaged the future. Not that I really care about that stuff anyway. And I think it's worth it for the opportunity, whatever happens. But all of it's immediately dead, right? Nobody can go back now and say, oh, they probably should have done that Drew trade, or, oh, they, should have waited for someone younger than Dame. Like if you get one, you got one, and it's all good from there.
I'll tell you why I know he's staying, though, by the way.
Why is that?
Oh, I saw him at swimming 3 weeks ago.
Swimming?
Yes. My son goes to a swim school.
I thought this was like a club, and I had a lot of more questions. This makes more sense.
He goes to a swim school. We go every week on Tuesdays after his daycare.
Yeah.
And I walk in, and I'm like, oh, you know that woman? Oh. Giannis is sitting there. He's in the class. His two kids, the two boys, are in the class before. Oh. And he's sitting, and I didn't say hi, and not that he would recognize me.
Yeah.
And I thought, like, should I have my son go take a picture? And I didn't even do that. And
yeah.
So Giannis Antetokounmpo, the biggest superstar in the NBA, he goes to a school, like people were all on their phone, like, oh my God, Giannis is here. Like you could tell there was that vibe.
Yeah.
But there were a couple people talking to him, like a conversation.
Yeah.
They asked nothing for him.
Yeah.
One little kid came up, asked for a picture, which Giannis eventually he did. And then Giannis goes, and he doesn't even go there. There's like changing rooms. He doesn't even go into a changing room. He just flat changes his kids on this changing table, almost begging to see, like, will anyone come up to me and bug me?
Yeah.
And basically he was just like a dad there, a super tall dad, a super famous dad, but everybody for the most part, like, left him alone.
Yeah.
In a level, like, I don't know what other city, especially we would like now Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard's coming into a place where he's new. So there's going to be more, like, if you see Damian Lillard at a pick and save, you're going to run up to him.
Yeah.
Because he's new. But if you say Giannis, you just, like, you might walk by and be like Bucks and 6 or something.
Yeah.
You're going to let this guy live his life.
Yeah.
And now he's got 3 kids in the picture. I mean, if it was so hard for the holidays to uproot their life, why are the Antetokounmpos going to do the same thing if they don't have to? There's the only thing that would get him out of here is if the team just wasn't committed to winning anymore. He's got a great network of people. He can pretty much go wherever he wants with the minimum amount of, like, that's a celebrity that you're ever going to find anywhere. I don't know. I saw him at swimming.
Yeah.
He didn't tip off Dame. That was but he didn't know. So
yeah, I love those stories. Like, I've heard so many people are like, oh yeah, I saw him at a restaurant. And I was like, oh, is he, you get mobbed? No. Like, people kind of give him a nod. Someone kind of walked by, but he really didn't get interrupted that much. I do think that's like a huge thing. Like, I think that really matters. And it
wasn't like he had someone take his kids to swimming.
Yeah, he just,
and it's not like
kids over to
he has someone go, like, he will. I'm sure he gets food delivered, but he also might stop into a place and pick up a burrito.
Oh yeah, he's cheap. He's cheap. He doesn't want to pay that delivery fee.
The delivery fee will get you.
It does every time. But you know what? You know what really gets you? I noticed on Eat Street, they'll say, "Oh, spend $2 more and get free delivery," and I'll go, "Oh, what's the delivery? 50 cents." Nice try. Not doing it. That's an aside. Wow. That's an aside. But yeah, I agree with you. I think they're in great position to keep Giannis. I think they're in great position to win a championship or 3 these next several years. I certainly hope so. And yeah, I think worrying about 2028 draft picks or 2030 draft, I mean, God, are we even going to be around? Who cares? We're talking about 10-year-olds. I don't care what 10-year-old they just traded. We got Giannis and Dame. That's what matters. I got in an argument with someone who's like, oh, their asset situation is horrible. I was like, are Giannis and Dame not assets? It's like, oh, how are they going to upgrade? What upgrade? How many upgrades do they need? How many trades do they have to make? They have a whole team.
It's like, you got your house, you got the pool, you got the guest house, you got the man cave. What do you need? You got everything.
I think part of it is the market thing. I also think there's this weird, like, draft pick fetishization of, like, oh, you got to have 25 picks. I think if you ask the Oklahoma City Thunder, would you rather have Giannis and Dame or all those draft picks? I think they'd make the deal today. Not saying all their young players, I'm sure they want their runway, everything else, but it's like just the picks. Would you rather have all these picks or Giannis and Dame and the rest of your core? I think everyone is saying Giannis and Dame. That's the whole reason you'd get the picks in the first place. The Bucks, over 50 years, had a lot of draft picks come and go. Never had Giannis and Dame after post Kareem. So I think they're doing okay. Quick Brewers Packers, and I'll let you go. Real even quicker plug. Check out Cruising for a Bruising and Talk of the Tundra here on GSPN for more insight on these teams, and the Bart Winkler Show for more insight on these teams. I don't know as much as you or our guys Andrew and Adam, Jordan and Newmark, but I'll do Brewers first. Where are you at on the season? Do you think, like, I guess not even the season, because we all know that now. The Brewers as a whole, are you excited for the next couple of years?
I think the season was a success. I think the playoffs are too much of a crapshoot to get as worked up about anymore. The baseball playoffs do not seem to be designed to, not even like to get the best champion, but they seem on purpose. They don't want the best team to be champion.
I couldn't believe the division winner got a 3-game series.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That was the 5th best record in baseball. They played a 3-game series.
Yeah, and they're gone. You lose 2 nights in fluky ways. Yeah. I do think maybe like, I don't know. The council decision looms very large.
Yeah.
And maybe we could be, and we talked about this this week on the show, is Craig Counsell is very smart and very good, and we love him, and please don't leave, and everything. But these playoffs do happen under him. I wonder if he's too laid back, calculative of a guy to have like the Texas Rangers are a team with a vibe right now.
Yeah.
And they're into the championship series. I don't know that we have I don't know. I think
something's always happening though.
Yeah, and that's baseball, which sucks.
Yeah, they don't overcome it well.
I think they've kind of grown stale. They try to do bites of the apple, which is fine. But sometimes, like even this year with the Bucks, this year was going to be stale.
Yeah.
Until the playoffs. Until like last year barely even happened. It was regular season, whatever, and then quick exit. Sometimes as a fan, like if you're a really good team, to reinvigorate the fan base, you either need to make the kind of move the Bucks did, because it has changed everything, or you might need some years where you're bad, because then when you're on the come up again, we're not going to get the kind of crowds that Philadelphia had for these playoff series, because it's so like, oh, the Brewers, we know what's going to happen. You know, we'll just sit on our hands, and there needs to be some jolt of energy to the franchise. So that's where I'm at.
I hope it can be Jackson Chourio. I don't know when we're actually going to see him. I think that's the kind of player where if he pans out, he could himself maybe bring that. Because that's clearly, I mean, you look at this up and down that roster. And yeah, some of the back end guys were not good. Whatever. I mean, that's baseball.
I'll do this too. How I just answered, and this is for kids to take note. Yeah. I just answered a Brewers question, and I tied it back into the Bucks.
That's pro level.
And I'm going to do the same for the Packers. Yeah. Because I think like in Mike Budenholzer's 5th year, was there still things about him that you complained about in his first year? There were.
Yeah.
Matt LaFleur is the same thing for me, where yes, he's got a good record as Bud did, but he's still making the same kind of mistakes, a lot of game management stuff.
Yeah.
I don't quite get a lot of what they're trying to do.
Some of the play calling is bizarre.
I'm very willing to give Jordan Love the entire year before I, like a lot of people this week, you want to say, oh, he sucks. That's who he is, they tell me. Who he is. It's been 5 weeks.
Yeah.
But I have more concerns through 5 games where we thought it would be what kind of year is it for Jordan Love? I have a lot more concerns about Matt LaFleur than I do the quarterback.
I would say the Gutekunst too. Like, I think you look at how much they put into this defense, it's just not that good. And they've had injuries on both ends. The offensive line, I mean, the way they blocked against Detroit, they were just never going to have a good game. It was like impossible. We've seen these games, like the Super Bowl, Mahomes against the Buccaneers. Like you can't do an offense if your offensive line gets beat that badly basically every play. So that's an issue, but I just feel like I know they're young. It's mostly offensively, though. They're young, and it's going to be up and down year. And I think everyone says that. I think it's hard to actually accept when you go Favre, Rodgers, and you've had, your down transition year was still like 6-10. Like, I just think it was always going to be an adjustment this year. But I think the defense, I know they ended up playing pretty well last week. There's just been some frustrating moments. I don't know. It's the Packers. I feel like LaFleur is in this weird spot more so than even Bud or Council of like so well regarded around the league. But a lot of Packers fans are like, I kind of hate a lot of what he does. It's very bizarre to me.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's very strange to kind of like, I think Council a little bit is like that, but not as much. I think most Brewers fans would want him back. But I do think around the game, they're like, oh my God, Craig Council. And we're like, yeah, we like Craig Council. I don't know. Am I too low on Council?
No, I tweeted something about, I said, name one thing Matt LaFleur does well. And I did not get a lot of good answers. What I did get was a lot of Bears fans saying, and even like more than that, saying, oh, look, they're at the stage of a bad quarterback where they blame the coach. But that's not where I'm at. I'm what does he do well? What am I getting out of Matt LaFleur I couldn't get out of anyone else? I don't know right now. I don't think there's a lot to answer there.
Yeah. It's going to be an up and down year. I still get excited to watch the Packers games. NFL football is just different. But I will say, Bucks picked a good time to assemble Dame and Giannis, given the Brewers flame out and the Packers probably going to be one of their worst. It is going to be one of their worst seasons in decades. And that's not trying to be hyperbolic. That's just where we're at and being realistic. And for all the playoff stuff, they've just won a ton of games over the last 30 years. But good time to have Giannis and Dame to kind of balance that all out. Bart Winkler, thank you very much. Let the people know where they can find you.
Hey, the Bart Winkler Show, part of the Blue Wire Network, wherever you get your pods. Check me out on YouTube and your local CBS Sports Radio affiliate. I do pop up there a time or two. Got a lot of work this coming week. And so I'm always, the shift's weird. It's like, and I don't know until like the week before. So last week I worked Saturday morning from 5 to 9 and then not the rest of the week. And then this week I'm working like 4 straight nights, 5 to 9 p.m., 5 to 9 a.m., 5 to 9 a.m.
I figured that on the first one. Ooh.
Yeah, weird. But hey, I can kind of pick my spots and I like it.
That's great to hear. Always appreciate the time, Bart. Always have a fun convo. Everyone, subscribe to the show wherever you're listening to this show. It's everywhere that we are, so make sure you do that. Follow Bart on Twitter at WinksThinks. Thanks again for listening. You can tell Rohan usually does the outros. Find everything GSPN does, including the aforementioned Brewers and Packers pods at GSPN.info. Thank you very much for listening. Pod Random, and we will talk to you next time.